The early warning system hummed with an unusual frequency, its quantum sensors detecting something unprecedented at the edge of the solar system. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned closer to the holographic display, her fingers tracing the anomalous data patterns that danced like ghostly threads across the screen. The research station, nestled high in the Andes Mountains, had always been her sanctuary of scientific exploration, but today felt different. Outside the reinforced windows, the mountain peaks stood silent witnesses to a moment that would soon change everything. Elena's team of researchers worked quietly, their specialized equipment gathering information from deep space sensors positioned across multiple orbital platforms. Most of her colleagues dismissed the initial readings as cosmic interference or equipment malfunction, but Elena knew better. She had built her career on seeing patterns where others saw only noise. The data told a story of approaching objects that defied conventional understanding. Their movement was too precise, too calculated to be random. Each mathematical projection suggested an intelligence far beyond anything humanity had encountered before. The objects were massive, each approaching construct dwarfed the largest human-made spacecraft by orders of magnitude. "Dr. Rodriguez," called out Dr. Michael Chen, her primary research assistant, "the quantum resonance patterns are stabilizing. This is unlike anything in our database." Elena nodded, her mind racing. Years of research into quantum communication and deep space anomalies had prepared her for something extraordinary, but nothing could truly prepare anyone for first contact. Her fingers danced across the holographic interface, pulling apart the data layers, revealing subtle communication frequencies that most systems would automatically filter out. The research facility was a marvel of human engineering, funded by a consortium of global scientific organizations. Its primary mission was to study potential extraterrestrial communications, a task many considered futile. But Elena had always believed that the universe was too vast, too complex to be empty. Humanity's understanding was limited, constrained, by our own technological and perceptual boundaries. Her team represented the best of human diversity and intellectual capability. Experts from various disciplines, quantum physics, computational linguistics, astrobiology, and advanced mathematics, worked together, their different perspectives creating a comprehensive approach to understanding the unknown. Dr. Chen continued, analyzing the incoming data. "The signal modulation suggests an intelligent design. These aren't natural phenomena, Elena. Something is coming, and it's calculating its approach with mathematical precision." The implications were staggering. Humanity had long speculated about extraterrestrial life, but concrete evidence had always remained frustratingly elusive. Now something was approaching, something that seemed to be observing, measuring, preparing. Elena pulled up historical data, comparing the current readings with decades of archived astronomical information. The approaching entities displayed a level of technological sophistication that made human space exploration look primitive by comparison. Their quantum communication signature suggested a civilization capable of manipulating space-time in ways that current human science could barely comprehend. "We need to alert the global scientific community," she said quietly, knowing the potential panic such a revelation might cause. "But we must be strategic. This isn't just about scientific discovery. This could be about survival." Her team looked at her, a mixture of excitement and apprehension crossing their faces. They understood the weight of what they were about to do. Announcing the potential arrival of an advanced extraterrestrial civilization wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was a moment that could fundamentally reshape human understanding of our place in the universe. Elena's mind raced through potential scenarios. How would global leadership respond? Military organizations would immediately consider defensive strategies, while scientific institutions would be desperate for more information. Political boundaries would suddenly seem meaningless in the face of a potential cosmic encounter. The quantum sensors continued their steady pulse, tracking the approaching entities. Each moment brought them closer to Earth, closer to a moment that would define human history. Whatever was coming, Elena was determined that humanity would be prepared, not with fear, but with the remarkable human capacity for adaptation, innovation, and understanding. "Get me a secure communication channel," she told Dr. Chen. "It's time to assemble a team that can truly understand what we're facing." The first ships appeared without warning, materializing in Earth's orbit like spectral giants, emerging from a cosmic void. They were unlike anything humanity had ever imagined. Geometric constructs of impossible symmetry, their surfaces absorbing and refracting light in ways that defied natural physics. Each vessel dwarfed entire metropolitan areas, their presence blocking out sunlight and casting massive shadows across continents. Global communication networks erupted in a cacophony of panic and confusion. Satellite feeds showed the alien constructs positioned with mathematical precision around the planet, creating a spherical containment grid that left no region untouched. Military installations worldwide went into maximum alert, but every conventional weapon seemed pathetically inadequate against the approaching technology. At the United Nations emergency session, world leaders watched in stunned silence as the first communication transmission arrived. It wasn't a message of peace or conquest. It was a cold clinical declaration of intent. The universal translator system struggled to process the alien language, eventually rendering a transmission that sent chills through every listener. Planetary Resource Reclamation Protocol initiated. Human population designated as potential labor resource. Resistance is mathematically inadvisable. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the transmission from the Andes Research Facility, her scientific mind racing to analyze every nuance of the communication. The alien language was more than words. It was a complex mathematical equation that seemed to describe their entire philosophical and operational approach to existence. Military responses came swiftly but futilely. Fighter jets scrambled from bases across the globe, their most advanced fighter squadrons approaching the alien vessels. Missiles launched, railgun systems activated, and experimental weapon platforms prepared for engagement. The results were devastatingly one-sided. Defensive projectiles disintegrated hundreds of kilometers from the alien ships, their energy shields transforming kinetic and explosive forces into harmless light displays. Major cities became ground zero for the initial contact. In New York, massive alien extraction modules descended, their surfaces shifting and reconfiguring with a fluidity that suggested they were more living technology than mechanical construct. Similar scenes played out in Tokyo, London, Beijing, and Sao Paulo. Entire urban infrastructures went dark as the alien technology interfaced with, and subsequently overwrote, human communication and power systems. Military commanders watched in horror as their most sophisticated defense networks collapsed. Quantum communication systems, advanced satellite networks, and integrated command structures fell like dominoes against the alien technological assault. It became clear that humanity was facing a civilization so advanced that our most cutting-edge technology appeared primitive by comparison. Yet beneath the technological superiority, something unexpected began to emerge. The aliens approached with a clinical precision that suggested a complete lack of emotional engagement. They were processing Earth as a resource, not as a living world with complex ecosystems and diverse cultures. This clinical approach would become their most significant vulnerability. Dr. Rodriguez gathered her research team, their minds working furiously to understand the nature of the invasion. "They're not here to destroy us," she observed, tracking the methodical movement of the alien vessels. "They're here to catalog, to extract, to process. But they're treating us like a mathematical problem to be solved, not a living civilization to be understood." Her colleague, Dr. Michael Chen, analyzed the quantum communication signatures. Their entire operational framework is based on predictive algorithms. They've calculated every possible human response and prepared countermeasures. But calculation is not the same as understanding. The global population experienced a collective moment of profound vulnerability. Governments collapsed, communication, networks fragmented, and traditional power structures disintegrated in the face of technological superiority that seemed almost magical. Millions were displaced, entire cities quarantined by the alien extraction protocols. Yet in community centers, underground bunkers, and makeshift resistance groups, something remarkable began to take shape. Human resilience, that indefinable, spirit of adaptation and survival, started to emerge. People began sharing information through improvised networks, studying the alien technology, looking for any possible weakness. As the first day of the invasion drew to a close, humanity found itself at a critical juncture. The aliens believed they had won. They had calculated every possible response, neutralized every defensive capability, and positioned themselves to systematically process the planet's resources. What they could not calculate was the human capacity for unexpected action. Weeks into the invasion, humanity discovered that survival was an art form of constant adaptation. The alien occupiers had systematically dismantled traditional power structures, communication networks, and governmental systems. Yet, in the shadows of displaced cities and hidden mountain retreats, resistance took root like stubborn seeds in scorched earth. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's research facility had become more than a scientific outpost. It was now a critical nerve center for human resistance. Teams of scientists, engineers, hackers, and former military personnel worked in shifts, analyzing every scrap of data about the alien technology. They understood that conventional warfare was impossible. Their strategy would require something far more complex: understanding. In underground networks spanning continents, people began sharing critical information. A network engineer in São Paulo discovered subtle patterns in the aliens' communication frequencies. A quantum physicist in Mumbai identified microscopic inconsistencies in their energy shield modulations. A former military strategist in the Canadian wilderness began mapping the aliens' predictive behavioral patterns. The alien occupation was methodical, almost mathematically precise. They established control zones, systematically extracting resources while maintaining a clinical distance from human populations. Entire cities became processing centers, with massive extraction modules consuming industrial complexes, mineral deposits, and technological infrastructure. To the invaders, Earth was simply a resource optimization problem, but humans refused to be reduced to mere data points. Community networks emerged in the most unexpected places. An abandoned subway system in New York became a communication hub. Remote mountain villages in Peru transformed into survival training centers. Abandoned research facilities became laboratories of resistance, each group working on understanding the alien technology from a different perspective. Dr. Michael Chen had developed a breakthrough approach. By analyzing the quantum communication signatures, he discovered that the aliens' predictive algorithms operated on a fundamentally rigid framework. They could calculate millions of potential scenarios, but they struggled with truly unpredictable human behavior. "They're processing us like a mathematical equation," Chen explained to Elena during a late-night strategy session. But human creativity doesn't follow mathematical rules. Our greatest strength is our ability to be completely irrational. The resistance began implementing a strategy of deliberate unpredictability. Small groups would conduct seemingly nonsensical actions that defied all logical prediction. A group in Tokyo would simultaneously broadcast multiple conflicting radio signals. Another team in Buenos Aires would create elaborate technological decoys that served no apparent purpose. These actions weren't about direct confrontation. They were about breaking the aliens' ability to predict and control. Global communication had been reduced to a patchwork of encrypted signals, improvised radio networks, and carefully coded messages. Each transmission was a small act of defiance, a signal that humanity had not been defeated. Children learned to communicate in complex codes. Artists created hidden messages and seemingly random artworks. Musicians embedded resistance coordinates in their compositions. The aliens' initial assessment of humanity as a straightforward, easily controlled species began to unravel. Their extraction protocols, designed with mathematical precision, started encountering inexplicable disruptions. Supply chains would suddenly redirect. Communication networks would develop unexpected interference. Entire processing zones would experience systematic anomalies that defied their predictive models. Elena's team worked tirelessly, understanding that their primary weapon was knowledge. They weren't just resisting, they were studying. Every piece of alien technology that could be safely analyzed, became an opportunity to understand their potential weaknesses. They see the world as a series of calculable outcomes, Elena told her team during a strategy meeting. But we see the world as a canvas of possibilities. That's our advantage. In refugee camps, research centers, and hidden resistance bases, humanity was doing what it did best, adapting, innovating, and refusing to be defeated. The aliens had calculated every possible response, neutralized every traditional defense mechanism, and positioned themselves to systematically process the planet. What they could not calculate was the human spirit, that indefinable quality that transforms limitation into opportunity, that turns adversity into innovation. The resistance was just beginning. Deep within the converted research facility, nestled beneath a mountain range that had become a sanctuary of human innovation, a breakthrough was taking shape. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, her team surrounding her with an intensity that bordered on religious devotion. They had discovered something that would change everything. The breakthrough came from an unexpected combination of disciplines. Dr. Michael Chen's quantum communication analysis, combined with insights from Dr. Sophia Nakamura's neurological research and input from a former cryptography specialist named Jack Rodriguez, had revealed a fundamental flaw in the alien communication network. It's not just a weakness, Elena explained, her fingers tracing complex quantum interaction diagrams. It's a systemic vulnerability built into the very foundation of their technological infrastructure. The alien communication system operated on a principle of absolute predictability. Every transmission, every computational process was designed to eliminate uncertainty. Their quantum communication network was a marvel of mathematical precision, and that was precisely its fatal flaw. Human communication, by contrast, was messy, imperfect, filled with nuance, emotion, and unexpected connections. Where the aliens saw chaos, humanity saw opportunity. The team had discovered that the alien quantum communication network relied on a hyper-precise predictive algorithm. It calculated potential outcomes with such mathematical certainty that it became its own limitation. Any input that fell outside its predefined parameters would be systematically filtered out or misinterpreted. They've created a system so perfect, Jack noted, that it cannot comprehend anything truly unexpected. Sophia's neurological research provided the key insight. The human brain's ability to make intuitive leaps, to connect seemingly unrelated concepts, was something the alien algorithm could not process. It was a form of creative thinking that defied mathematical prediction. The proposed infiltration strategy was audacious. They would develop an algorithm that was simultaneously a communication protocol, a weapon, and a piece of adaptive intelligence. It would exploit the aliens' rigid communication network by introducing elements of pure, unpredictable human creativity. Days turned into weeks of intense preparation. The team worked in shifts, each member bringing a unique perspective. Computer. Scientists wrote code that intentionally included irrational elements. Linguists developed communication patterns that defied standard logical structures. Psychologists contributed insights into human unpredictability. We're not just creating a virus, Elena explained during a strategy meeting. We're creating a living, adaptive communication entity that can navigate their system by being fundamentally incomprehensible to their predictive algorithms. The facility buzzed with a sense of purpose. Refugees who had found shelter in the mountain base began contributing in unexpected ways. A group of artists created visual patterns that seemed random, but contained carefully encoded information. Musicians developed sound frequencies that could potentially disrupt the alien communication network. Each team member understood the stakes. This was more than a technological challenge. It was a fight for human survival. The aliens had approached Earth as a resource optimization problem, believing they could process and control an entire planet with mathematical precision. They were about to learn the true meaning of human ingenuity. The algorithm they were developing was a quantum communication protocol unlike anything ever created. It would adapt in real time, change its own parameters, and introduce elements of pure randomness that would confuse and potentially break the alien communication network. Think of it as a linguistic shapeshifter, Jack explained to the younger researchers. A piece of communication that can become anything it needs to be to survive. By the time the algorithm reached its final stages, it had become something more than a mere piece of software. It was a testament to human creativity, a digital embodiment of the human spirit's refusal to be categorized, controlled, or defeated. Elena looked at her team, seeing the mixture of exhaustion and hope in their eyes. They had created something unprecedented, a weapon of pure human innovation. The infiltration mission would be the most critical moment in human history. One small team would need to introduce this algorithm into the heart of the alien communication network. Everything depended on their success. The infiltration team assembled in the pre-dawn darkness, a group so carefully selected that each member seemed to represent a different facet of human potential. Led by Elena Rodriguez, they were not traditional soldiers, but a hybrid unit of scientists, former special operations personnel, and unexpected specialists whose skills defied conventional military categorization. Jack Rodriguez, the cryptography expert, had designed their entry strategy. They would not fight the alien technology. They would dance with it, using misdirection and creative thinking as their primary weapons. Their target was a massive communication hub positioned in low Earth orbit, a central node of the alien network that processed billions of computational transactions each second. The team's transport was a heavily modified research vessel that looked more like a patchwork of scientific equipment than a traditional spacecraft. Its systems had been systematically altered to emit communication signatures that would appear completely inconsequential to the alien detection algorithms. Where standard military vessels would be instantly detected, this ship moved like a ghost, invisible, through pure calculated randomness. Dr. Sophia Nakamura monitored the quantum signature generators, her fingers moving with surgical precision across modified communication interfaces. "We're approaching the communication hub," she announced, her voice steady. "Our signature is registering as background cosmic radiation to their detection systems." Their plan was audacious. Rather than a direct assault, they would introduce their specially designed algorithm as a seemingly random data packet. It would move through the alien communication network like a phantom, adapting, changing, becoming something the rigid alien systems could not comprehend. The alien communication hub was a marvel of geometric perfection, a massive construct that pulsed with energy, processing information at speeds that would make human supercomputers seem like ancient abacuses. Massive data streams flowed through its core, each transmission calculated with mathematical precision. Jack leaned toward Elena. "Their entire system is built on the assumption that everything can be predicted. We're about to prove how wrong that assumption is." As they approached the hub, the team maintained absolute calm. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Each member understood their role with crystal clarity. They were not just a mission team. They were the embodiment of human potential, carrying with them the hopes of an entire planet. The initial penetration was almost anticlimactic. Their modified communication packet slipped into the alien network like water through a microscopic crack. To the alien detection systems, it appeared as nothing more than a random quantum fluctuation, precisely the kind of background noise that their algorithms were designed to ignore. But this was no ordinary data packet. The algorithm they had developed was alive in a way no previous software had ever been. It adapted, changed, mimicked the communication patterns of the alien network while simultaneously introducing elements of pure, unpredictable human creativity. "First, stage infiltration complete," Sophia reported, her voice revealing a hint of excitement beneath her professional tone. "The algorithm is propagating through their communication network." The alien system began to experience the first subtle signs of disruption. Communication pathways that had been perfectly predictable for millennia started to show microscopic inconsistencies. Data streams that had always followed precise mathematical models now developed unexpected variations. Elena watched the holographic displays, seeing how their algorithm moved through the alien network. It was not destroying. It was transforming. Each interaction introduced an element of uncertainty that the alien systems could not process. They're trying to isolate and eliminate the anomaly, Jack observed, but they can't understand its fundamental nature. It's changing faster than they can adapt. The team worked in perfect synchronization, monitoring the algorithm's progress. They had created something more than a piece of software. They had developed a digital life form that embodied the most unique aspects of human intelligence: creativity, adaptability, unpredictability. As the mission entered its critical phase, the alien communication hub began to experience systemic failures. Computational pathways that had been rigid for generations suddenly became fluid, unpredictable. Humanity's greatest weapon was not technology. It was the ability to imagine beyond established boundaries. The collapse of the alien communication network sent unexpected ripples across the galaxy. What had begun as a human resistance became a beacon of hope for countless subjugated civilizations trapped under the alien imperium's technological control. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched in astonishment as communication intercepts revealed a cascading effect far beyond Earth's boundaries. The algorithm they had developed was not just a weapon. It was a key unlocking chains of oppression that had existed for generations. In the research facility's communication center, decoded transmissions began painting a complex picture. The alien civilization, known as the Quantum Collective, had maintained control over multiple star systems through a sophisticated network of technological suppression. Their method was simple yet devastating: eliminate any possibility of independent thought or resistance through absolute technological dominance. Sophia Nakamura worked tirelessly, deciphering the incoming communications. They've been controlling entire civilizations for centuries, she explained to Elena. Not through direct military force, but through a communication network that suppressed any form of independent innovation. The first signs of rebellion came from unexpected quarters. A mining colony in the Epsilon Quadrant, which had been under alien control for over 2 centuries, suddenly began transmitting messages of resistance. Their communication was raw, desperate, but filled with a newfound sense of possibility. Jack Rodriguez tracked the spread of their algorithm. It's not just breaking their communication network, he observed. It's teaching other civilizations how to break free. Reports began flooding in from across multiple star systems. Colonies that had been silent for generations suddenly found their voices. Scientific outposts long subdued by technological control began sharing forbidden knowledge. Cultural archives that had been suppressed for centuries started to resurface. The Quantum Collective had built their empire on a fundamental misconception that technology could completely control biological intelligence. Their system was based on absolute prediction, absolute control. They had filtered out any communication that did not fit their predetermined parameters. Humanity's algorithm was a virus of possibility. Elena understood the deeper significance of their mission. This was more than a defensive action against an invasion. They were unleashing a fundamental transformation of galactic power structures. Communication intercepts revealed the panic spreading through the alien leadership. Their perfectly calculated systems were experiencing cascading failures. Entire communication networks that had maintained their control for millennia were fragmenting. They never considered the possibility of true randomness, Sophia explained during a strategy meeting. Their entire technological infrastructure is based on the assumption that all variables can be predicted and controlled. The resistance spread like wildfire. Each liberated civilization added its own unique perspective to the growing network of rebellion. A mining colony's engineering insights would be combined with a scientific outpost's theoretical knowledge. Cultural archives from one world would provide context for technological breakthroughs from another. Jack tracked the spread of their algorithm with a mix of scientific fascination and human emotion. We're not just breaking their network, he told Elena. We're teaching an entire galaxy how to think differently. The Quantum Collective's response was predictably rigid. They attempted to isolate and eliminate the communication anomalies, applying their standard protocols of technological suppression. But each attempt only revealed more vulnerabilities in their system. Elena realized they had created something far more powerful than a defensive weapon. Their algorithm was a form of technological liberation, a way of thinking that could not be contained or controlled by rigid computational systems. Reports came in of entire planetary systems beginning to communicate freely for the first time in generations. Scientific knowledge that had been suppressed began to flow freely. Cultural traditions long forbidden started to resurface. "We've given them more than just a way to communicate," Elena told her team. "We've given them the possibility of imagination." The galactic landscape was changing. What had begun as a human resistance against an alien invasion was transforming into something much larger, a fundamental reimagining of technological control and biological potential. Humanity had not just defended itself. It had started a revolution that would reshape the understanding of intelligence itself. The final battle was nothing like traditional warfare. As the quantum collective launched its most desperate assault, humanity prepared not with massive weapon systems, but with an entirely new approach to conflict. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the Central Command Center, watching as the alien fleet converged on Earth. Their ships formed a perfect geometric pattern, each vessel a testament to technological precision. But beneath that perfect exterior, their communication networks were now riddled with the unpredictability introduced by human innovation. "They're coming with everything they have," Jack Rodriguez announced, tracking the incoming fleet's approach. "But they're no longer a unified force." The alien assault was a study in mathematical precision. Thousands of ships moved in perfect synchronization, their energy signatures creating a web of destructive potential that could obliterate entire continents. Traditional military defenses would have been utterly ineffective against such technological superiority. But humanity had learned that true strength was not about matching technological power, but about fundamentally changing the nature of the conflict. Sophia Nakamura worked furiously at her communication station. The algorithm they had developed was now a living network, spreading through the alien systems faster than they could respond. It was more than a weapon. It was a form of technological intelligence that adapted with each interaction. "They're trying to isolate their communication networks," and Sophia reported, "but each attempt is creating more vulnerabilities." The battle unfolded on multiple levels. While the alien ships approached, their internal systems were experiencing complete breakdown. Communication pathways that had been reliable for millennia now became unpredictable channels of confusion. Strategic protocols that had been absolute began to fragment. Elena understood the deeper strategy. They were not trying to destroy the alien fleet. They were dismantling its ability to function as a unified force. Across liberated star systems, the civilizations that had been suppressed for generations now joined the resistance. Each added their unique perspective, their own technological insights. What had begun as a human defense became a galactic uprising. The alien fleet began to experience systematic failures. Ships that were supposed to move in perfect coordination now showed signs of individual malfunction. Communication between vessels became fragmented, unreliable. "They cannot comprehend what's happening," Jack observed. "Their entire technological approach is based on absolute prediction. We've introduced something they cannot calculate, pure human creativity." Massive energy weapons that were supposed to obliterate entire regions began to misfire. Targeting systems that had been perfectly calibrated now produced random, unpredictable results. The quantum collective's technological superiority was becoming its greatest weakness. Elena watched the holographic displays, seeing how their algorithm moved through the alien systems. It was not destroying, it was transforming. Each interaction introduced an element of uncertainty that the alien systems could not process. The final confrontation was happening on a level far beyond physical combat. It was a battle of technological philosophy. The aliens believed in absolute control, in the ability to predict and manage every possible outcome. Humanity demonstrated that true intelligence was about adaptability, about the ability to embrace uncertainty. "They're losing cohesion," Sophia announced. "Their fleet is fragmenting." Indeed, the once perfect geometric formation of alien ships was now breaking apart. Ships began to move independently, their communication networks collapsing. What had been a unified assault was now becoming a collection of isolated, confused vessels. Elena understood the profound nature of their victory. They were not just defending Earth, they were challenging a fundamental approach to intelligence and control. The last of the alien ships began to drift, their systems completely compromised. The perfectly calculated invasion had been undone by something the quantum collective could never understand: the human capacity for unexpected innovation. As the final alien vessels lost power, a profound silence descended. Humanity had not just survived, they had transformed the very nature of technological conflict. The galaxy would never be the same. In the weeks following the alien fleet's defeat, Earth transformed. The scars of invasion remained, but they were overshadowed by a profound sense of collective achievement that transcended national boundaries, cultural differences, and previous conflicts. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before an international council, her presentation revealing far more than just a military victory. The algorithm they had developed was now being studied as a revolutionary approach to communication, artificial intelligence, and understanding complex systems. What we accomplished, Elena explained, was more than a defensive strategy. We demonstrated a fundamental truth about intelligence, that true strength lies in adaptability, in the ability to embrace uncertainty. The global research centers that had been instrumental in developing the resistance strategy now became focal points of unprecedented collaboration. Scientists from every continent worked together, sharing insights gained from the conflict. The alien invasion had done what decades of diplomatic efforts could not. It had created a truly unified human perspective. Jack Rodriguez, now leading a new interdisciplinary research initiative, focused on understanding the deeper implications of their breakthrough. We didn't just defend ourselves, he told a group of young researchers. We discovered something about human potential that we'd always overlooked. The technological insights gained from analyzing the alien communication systems were revolutionary. Traditional approaches to artificial intelligence had always attempted to create more predictable, more controlled systems. Humanity now understood that true intelligence was about embracing unpredictability. Sophia Nakamura led a team developing new communication protocols based on the principles they had discovered during the resistance. Their work suggested entirely new approaches to understanding complex systems, from ecological networks to social interactions. Around the world, cities that had been devastated by the invasion began reconstruction. But this was not simply a return to what existed before. Each rebuilt structure, each restored community incorporated lessons learned from the resistance. Urban planners, architects, and community leaders worked together to create more adaptive, more resilient systems. The global education system underwent a radical transformation. Curriculum began to emphasize creativity, adaptive thinking, and the value of diverse perspectives. Schools no longer focus solely on memorization and standardized testing, but on developing the uniquely human capacity for innovative problem-solving. International space exploration programs received unprecedented funding and support. The conflict had demonstrated humanity's potential for galactic significance. Multiple nations collaborated on ambitious projects to explore and understand the broader implications of their cosmic encounter. Elena reflected on the deeper meaning of their victory during a quiet moment in her mountain research facility. The alien invasion had been more than a physical conflict. It had been a clash of philosophical approaches to intelligence and existence. They believed intelligence was about perfect prediction, she wrote in her research journal. We proved that true intelligence is about the ability to adapt, to embrace the unexpected. The liberated civilizations across various star systems began to communicate more freely. Each shared their unique cultural and technological insights, creating a galactic network of shared knowledge. Humanity had become a catalyst for a broader transformation of how intelligent species understood communication and potential. Jack's research revealed something even more profound. The algorithm they had developed was not just a technological tool, it was a new way of understanding intelligence itself. It suggested that complexity was not something to be controlled, but something to be understood and embraced. Global leaders gathered to discuss the broader implications. The conflict had fundamentally changed humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. No longer were they a species confined to a single planet, hoping to be noticed. They were now a galactic force, a civilization that had demonstrated a unique approach to intelligence and survival. Sophia's team continued to explore the communication networks they had developed. Each discovery suggested new possibilities for understanding complex systems, from ecological networks to social interactions. As the first anniversary of their victory approached, Elena looked out over the mountain landscape. The world had changed, in ways no one could have predicted. The alien invasion, intended to process Earth as a resource, had instead unleashed humanity's most profound potential. They had not just survived. They had transformed the very understanding of what it meant to be an intelligent species. The universe would never be the same.